Okay, we're about to start. Leo, can you hear me? And can you see me?
Yes, we can hear.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I can hear. I
Okay.
cannot see.
Okay. All right, great. Hope everyone has a good break. So we'll continue for the rest of the session. So the second part of this workshop will first have a keynote speech from Dr. Nguyen from Griffith University, and then at the end we'll have our panel discussion. The first keynote speech session will be chaired by Associate Professor Jianxin Lee. Can I check? Yeah, I can see Jianxin is there.
Yeah.
Is Henry there as well?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
Yeah.
Over to you, Jianxin. Yep.
Okay, thank you, Xiao. And our next keynote speech will be given by Dr. Nguyen. And Nguyen is a senior lecturer at Griffith University, and he also got the ARC DECRA fellowship. And this is very excellent about his academic research and achievement. He also published so many research papers in the area of information systems, social media, data analytics, and data visualization, AI, and machine learning, and cyber defense. So next, let's welcome Dr. Nguyen to give us the excellent talk. Henry, I hand over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. So yeah, let me share my slides with you guys. Yeah. Okay, so firstly, so today, thank you very much for your invitation. So today I would like to present about my current work. It's about detecting fake news. So this work is supported by ARC, Australian Research Council. So firstly, I would like to take the opportunity to thank my students. Many of them graduate and get positions, postdoc positions, and there are 5 ongoing PhD students who contribute to this project. So firstly, I think Jenny she gave a very nice presentation and very informative presentation. So we already know about the reason why we have to detect the fake news. So that is the goals of this workshop or the project that we got. So firstly, in this presentation, I will show you some motivations and some challenges in which we try to understand why fake news detection is a really hard problem. And then I will show some technique, some automatic technique to detect the fake news. And you know, detecting fake news, you cannot do it automatically because it requires some human knowledge. Yeah. So that is the reason why in the real world, they bring people on board and they help to validate fake news that machine detected. And in this work, that is the motivation. So there are many examples about fake news. So Jenny also mentioned about the fake news about COVID when we can use alcohol to treat COVID. So it is completely wrong and it killed many people in Iraq. Now there are many fake news happen everywhere. So why fake news is so challenging? Okay, so because the first reason is fake news now they use AI in power. With the recent advance in AI, the fake news not created by machine, right? Not created by human, it's also created by machine. So you can see here that like in this example, now we have a many fake video and we have a defect. So when they post that video online and you know, when they write the news with the video, with the image, although those images are fake, it's hard for human to detect if it's fake or not, right? Also, now with the advance of AI, you can write many texts, right? You have a fake reviews, fake news or fake review. So you can see there are some tool here, namely talk to transformer here. When you want to write something good about a certain hotel, you just say, "Oh, hotel is amazing," right? And the tool will generate the text, the detail of the text, right, about the hotel or so on. So now, and also for news too, sometimes they also write a fake news. So there. And we also have, in social media, we also see there are a lot of fake video generator, right? So pivotally, when you detect a certain Facebook account, fake or not, we can check. Normally the fake account, they don't have much information. Right? They don't have a photo profile. Or they don't, because it takes time to create a photo profile, and they don't have any histories of such people. Yet no news on fake words. But with the fake photo generation, you can see is in this slides, they can create a fake photo profile. Yeah. So and when you look at the Facebook account, it's hard for you to detect a real account or fake account because of the AI, right? AI can generate fake content, and they can use that event to create the fake news or fake information. That is the first challenge. The second challenge is lack of control for sharing content, because on social media, we don't have anybody to control all the information that propagates on media. Yeah, so it makes the information propagate very fast without verification, right? So that make fake news detection become very complicated. And recently, we have a attack by machine, not by human. Right? So if attacked by human, it's hard for you to hire 1,000 workers. But with machine, you have a group attack. So 100 bot can attack your system easily. So yeah. So with three challenge like that, it might fake news detection become very challenging, and this problem, this part of you know, when AI when AI develops, the attacker can leverage such development of such event to attack your system, right? So it is the not ending war between human and the attacker. So general solution to solve this problem could be they can combine automatic technique in which they use machine learning and AI to automatically detect fake news, and then they can bring human to validate the fact or the news. So that is the reason why we have many fact-checking systems. Yeah. So this is I just show you some motivation and some challenge. And next I will I will discuss about some of the technique, automatic technique we developed and we published in PLDB 2019. Yeah. So in the general ideas to detect the fake news, it rely on 4 different information. The first one is when you have the fake, the web base or something like that, the information web page, you have to look at the content. So you check whether there is any fake text, fake image, or fake video. So you have to check some fake content there. The second information we have to look at is data provenance. Who bought that information? Okay, if the information from reliable source is so it's a credible information. It will be credible, not fake. It could be hot news. If the data from and where is it posted, right? That is the second information, data provenance. The third information we have to look at is inconsistencies in that web page. So you can look at inconsistency in terms of day, right? So some sometimes they put the news, but they put the reference is very old reference or something like that, or inconsistency in location, right? So in your news they have some text. It's happened recently, but they put the image in the web page. It could be from the other location, yeah. So, and the other consistency could be in the context, yeah. So you have to detect such inconsistency. The most important indicator to detect fake news is information propagation. Okay, normally when the information for the fake news or rumor, it propagates very fast at the beginning, right? So you can see if there is some anomaly in sharing or in comments, high chance it could be the fake news. Sometimes it's hard to distinguish fake news and true news, right? So in order to detect fake news and true news, we have to look at the other support information like inconsistency or something like that. So now I will go to the detail for each technique here. As I mentioned to you previously, it is to detect the fake content, right? So normally the fake image is generated by combining many images, right? So we develop we defect to detect the image is true or not, right? So if you look at in the figure, the picture on the bottom here, you can see it's hard for human to detect it, right? Because the picture is very small. But if you look at the sunglasses, the glass, so there is a fake glass, right? So if you zoom in, so you can see there is a smooth part there. So machine they can detect that it is fake image. Yeah. So very well-known tool right now. Many people use that is a deepfake, right? And the second technique that we look at is data provenance, right? So we look at where content comes from and who posts that. So if you have a chance to look at Twitter, you can see Donald Trump. He have a lot of account there, and you can and many of them are fake accounts. And so for the last image, you can see there are 4 fake accounts here. And if you look at the last account, so the photo generated, the photo is generated by default, so it completely fake account. And the other techniques we look at is inconsistencies here. So in this example, you can see is the news here is it happened in 2015, but they are completely wrong, right? So there is a consistent between the image that they put in the news is in 2015, and why the news is very new. Yeah, so it's inconsistencies between image and the news. Sometimes they just take an image from the other article. Yeah. And the other thing is propagation structure here. So we can see, you can see on the top of the picture, the top figure here, well, when the fake news, when that news is fake or rumor, right? So the comment is increased, right? There are a lot of retweet or comment there, yeah. So if you look at if you look at the network of information, right? So you can see like in the bottom picture here, you can see at the beginning, at a certain point, it could be fake, and then slowly the color will change, indicate that that could be fake. Yeah. When you get more information, when you wait after a certain time, you can see how information propagates. You can conclude it is fake or not. And sometimes in my research, we have some good result, but the thing is we detect it a little bit late. So we want to optimize our algorithm to detect it faster, right? So it's some intuition how to detect fake news, right? Based on that intuition, we develop a graph-based fake news detection, and this work is published in BLDB 2019. Okay, so firstly we construct a social graph. Yeah, in social graph here we have a it's a heterogeneous graph. So for the node, for the node, we have 4 different card nodes here, right? We collect Twitter, and we have 4 different card nodes. We have one node is user, right? User, and the other node is twister and link and hashtag. So in this graph, they capture relationship between user, twist, link, and hashtag. And we, from this graph here, we know who was the task, right? And which hashtag you mentioned in the task. And in the twist, it might contain some link or not. And based on this, all the data that we collect from the twister, we construct a social graph. And if you take a look the table on the right side here, for each user, right? For each user, you have many features, right? For example, registration day, credibility score based on their history, or their status. So, for example, this user use both frequently or not. Yeah, something like that. And we also have information about flower, friend, and twist, right? And for the twist, we have some feature like linguistic keyword, linguistic style, and some and it's the same for link and hashtags, right? Yeah, and if for relation here, that is the link, many kind of relation between twist and link. So for this one, we capture the time information, location information, and so on. So we capture all information from that. And if there are some anomaly, we might detect it could be the fake news, right? So let me show you the example here. Take a look the twist here. Okay, this twist, the twist with in red, twist in red here. So and the user with the circle in red. So red means highly they are not reliable or yeah. So what we do is we look at the user. Normally the user, they have the age of user who use the social media is about 5 years old or something like that. But here we have some new user. So yeah, the it high chance it could be fake account, right? So if that users they normally they have only 10 when he bought some information he have only 100 retweet, but suddenly he have about 1,000 or 10,000 retweets. So highly it could be anomaly. Yeah. So we captures all information to internet in this graph, social graph, and based on that we try to detect the anomaly. Okay. So there are two kinds of anomaly here. Right. The first kind of anomaly is a local anomaly. So from this from the feature there, we try to detect assign the score for each node. So it is an anomaly score, right? So if the anomaly score is high, so we flag it. Right? Yeah. So it's the local detection. So we try to compare anomaly score for each entity or relation in the graph. The second anomaly score is global anomaly detection. So we compute the subgraph with high collective anomaly score. So normally, when you can see there are many anomaly nodes that related together, it means that content could be fake, right? So that is the reason why we look at global anomaly detection too. So we can formulate the problem here in terms of graph here. So what we do, we to detect anomaly, local anomaly score here, we look at the feature as a mentionable, like historical data, or we compare the users to the other user. We call similarity between entity or relation, right? So for example, we look at if registration age or time difference between tweet and link between article. Like normally when you put the link, right? When you write an article, the link, the difference between the tweet and the link article not more than 1 day, right? But 2 days normally is. But sometimes they just put the link. They just when they write tweet and they mention the link 2 or 3 years ago. High chance that news is not true. right? So we assign anomaly score for all the nodes and all relations. So yeah, that is anomaly scores, and this and we have a formula to compute the anomaly score here. Yeah, let me skip the detail, the technical thing. Yeah, after you obtain the anomaly score for each node, you can compute the anomaly score for each subgraph or a group of nodes together. And then you have an anomaly score for a graph here. This is some result. We did some experiments or test our technique, and you can see this is some result here. The detail we mentioned in the paper is normal, and the percentage we detect is a little bit quite high. It is about 80%, but you can see here we detect not most of Roma we detect is within 2 days, so it is quite late. So we want to reduce the time, detecting time. Yeah. So that is the first part for automatic technique. We also develop human in validation technique, and in this bit of work we published in PREB 2019 to guide user to detect the fact checking. So it is the to detect the fact here. We have to, because human is very costly and not scalable, so we have to use humans wisely. So we have to minimize the human effort to validate the fake news. And to minimize the human effort, we have to look at we have to optimize many things. The first one is we have to answer how to select the most beneficial port to ask user to validate, right? So we have to select the port with high uncertainty. Also, because when you get the feedback from user, you will propagate that information in your learning model. So you have to consider the port that you will learn the most, right? So you have to select the most the boss that you get more benefit. The second thing you have to consider is support information. When you show it to user, you ask user to check the fact. You have to give it some support information that help user to make decision. So that is the reason why now we are working observable AI. When we show to user, okay, we identify this could be the fake news, we have to explain the reason why, and we also try to visualize it in an efficient way that people can capture the information quickly. So and we have we got feedback from many users, like crowdsourcing or something like that. How to aggregate them is not easy, right? And normally we cannot check all the facts or something like that. We have to terminate it as soon as possible. We have to ignore some news that is not relevant or not get many benefits. So we have to define the termination criteria. So in this paper, we try to answer 4 different questions here, a research question here, and we achieve our guidance models achieve better than random feedback. Yeah. So I think that's all for my presentation. So yeah, so now it's a question and answer. So sorry for some technical issue at the beginning. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Henry, for this interesting talk. And I can say yeah, this yeah, your work was published at the PVLDB, and that is an excellent publication venue. And you link your like fake news detection or misinformation detection to the anomaly detection. I think that's very good research direction. Yeah. So now, so I think due to the limit time, I think we can invite one questions. So is there anyone who have a question to our presenter? Okay, I think if there is no question, let's thank Henry for his excellent talk today. And thank you for your support about our workshop. And due to the limit time, maybe we can go to the panel discussion. I know you are very busy. You may have another meeting. Thank you, Henry.
Thank you, Xian. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, catch you later.
Yeah.
Thanks, Harry, and thanks, Jianxin. Our next will invite Helia to host the panel center discussion.
Okay, thanks, Xiao. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. Good day, everyone. I'm Helia, the chair of this panel discussion. Welcome to all of you in the room and also joining us online. Well, I think all of the panelists are here, right? Yeah, we have Robert, Ika, Oki, and Jianxin also. So, okay. Well, we are really excited that we are able to put this panel together, and very big thank you to our panelists that have taken time out of their day to come together and share with us very important information that we are going to talk about today. We're going to be discussing on COVID fake news detection and intervention. Like today, we have keynote speaker from academia. To academia, we have Jenny and also Henry, and also we have from the government, we have Dr. Usman, but we are missing one role in here. We should have a media representative, but we will invite also the media representatives in here. We have Ika and Oki. Maybe I will introduce them later, but and you can see on the slide the bios of all the panelists and their pictures, so you can catch them up. We have Ika, Robert, Oki, and Jianxin, and also Xiao. And in this panel discussion, there is also a frequently asked question that we have prepared for this panel, which will be answered by the panel today. So without further ado, I'm going to briefly introduce the panel, and then we're going to get started. We have three academia. We have Prof. Robert, Jianxin, and also Xiao. And we have two media representatives in this panel discussion. Good day, Ms. Ika and Ms. Oki. First, I will introduce and invite the first panelist, Prof. Robert Aklan, from School of Sociology and Boson Lab, the Australian National University in Australia. Prof. Robert worked at the intersection of empirical social science and computer science, developing new approach for studying network on the World Wide Web. Prof. Robert has a degree in economics from the University of Melbourne, Yale University, and the ANU, where he completed his PhD in economics on index number theory and international comparison of income in 2001. His research interests are on network science, web science, social network analysis, index number theory, and international comparison of income and poverty. He has published several publications related to his research interests. So how are you, Prof. Robert?
Okay, hello, thanks, Celia. Just as a question, how long should I speak for?
So actually the panel discussion will be on 60 minutes. So we will finish the panel discussion maximum in 2 p.m. in here. What time in there? 4 or 5, yeah, 5 p.m. Yeah. Yeah, 5 p.m. here.
I'll just plan to speak for 5 minutes, and I won't take the whole 60 minutes. Okay, so hi everyone. I hope I hope you can hear me okay. Thank you to the organisers for inviting me along to this panel discussion, and I've really enjoyed hearing about the project and the other research that's been presented. So I'm one of the social scientists who's interested in researching misinformation, but I describe myself as a computational social scientist. So a lot of the methods that have been presented today are quite familiar to me. But as Hilja mentioned, my particular focus comes from the application of social network analysis to study online behaviour. And so the VOSON lab at the ANU, the VOSON stands for the Virtual Observatory for the Study of Online Networks. For nearly 20 years, we've been studying online behaviour using SNA, social network analysis, and also developing associated open source tools. I'm not currently working on COVID misinformation, but I work on topics that are related to COVID misinformation. For example, one of the projects I'm working on at the moment is about online political deliberation and the role of social bots, the role and influence of social bots in contributing or how they affect political deliberation. And this is a Volkswagen Foundation grant with Bielefeld University in Germany. I also do work on echo chambers, how to identify them and conceptualize them, and I'll talk a bit more about that later on. Just very briefly, I have a kind of, I guess, a more personal anecdote. So 20 years ago, in 2001 and 2002, I was working on an Australian government funded project via the ANU, which was a social protection project based in working in different countries in Southeast Asia. And I was involved in capacity building in the area of statistical analysis of survey data. And I went to Jakarta on a number of trips, and I spent one trip, I spent 2 weeks working at the National Family Planning Coordination Board, or the BKKBN or BKKBN. And that was a very interesting experience for me. The reason I was there was because that government agency ran or probably still does run, a very large survey because of this network throughout Indonesia. And I know we've got a lot of Indonesians present at the conference, and this is what at the workshop. This is why I'm saying this, mentioning this anecdote. But these it's a network of it was a network of health services related to family planning, but also general health, family health, and also family well-being. And so the reason I'm saying this is because 20 years ago, one of the main ways that the government, Indonesian government, got information out to the population was via an organisation such as BKKBN and their network of health practitioners. But today this situation is very different, because as we've been hearing, the internet is involved with, and social media in particular is a major source of information for the population in Indonesia and the rest of the world. And so how things have changed. Okay, so I'm now going to move on to what I've been asked to talk about, which is there are 3 questions that were given to the panelists.
Okay, but before that, sorry to interrupt you, Robert, maybe I will introduce the other panelists first, then we can go to the question
Apologies.
one by
okay.
one.
Yep,
okay,
no worries.
That's great. Okay, apart of Robert, Jianxin, and also Xiao, maybe I don't introduce Jianxin and Xiao because they're already known through this webinar. So we all have 2 ladies from media representative. First, we have Ms. Oki Irmanita. Oki Irmanita has almost 10 years of experience as journalist before entering the consulting world. She has a strong network in the media community. Oki started her career as a reporter and producer on local TV in Makassar before moving to Jakarta. In the 4th year of her career as a national TV reporter, she received a scholarship to University of Glasgow, Scotland. And Oki returned from Scotland with a new role as a digital producer and had many opportunities to interact with content development team from YouTube, Instagram, Google, and etc. in Jakarta. And in 2018, Oki passed the selection to become a trainer for the collaboration program between Google APAC, IG, and Internews, Google News Initiative. Then Oki is also an active trainer in this program for journalists and students in several cities in Indonesia. And currently, Oki is still actively maintaining her relationship with journalists through various work related to media engagement and several activities related to events and journalist community. How are you, Miss Oki? Long time no see.
Hello, Dr. Hilya. It's good to see you and also the panelists here. Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay. Okay, last but not least, we also have the ladies from the Conversation Indonesia, Miss Ika Krismantari. Good evening, Miss Ika Krismantari. So,
hi.
Hi. nice to have you in this panel discussion.
Pleasure to be here. Yeah, meeting all the experts and all the panelists here. It's such a pleasure.
Yeah, just let me introduce Ms. Ika Krismantari. So currently she is head of editorial, The Conversation in Indonesia. She has 16 years of experience as a journalist, and she got a master's degree in journalism and international relations from Monash University, Melbourne in Australia. She used to work for Indonesia's biggest English daily, the Jakarta Post, for 12 years, but she now leads the Conversation Indonesia, a non-profit media platform for researchers and academics to share their insight and analysis on different topics as its head of editorial. And some of her article also published in several reputable media, the Jakarta Post, Kompas.com, and South China Morning Post. And so welcome to all of you. We have 3 academia and also 2 media representatives. How are you, all of you? Ika, Oki?
Good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, maybe I will start this panel. So this panel is going to start off with a question like I prepare, and also maybe you already have the question. Maybe please go to the next slide. I think we have a question. And after the question that I gave to you, 3 questions that I gave to you, maybe the audience can also give the question. If you have a question, maybe you can put in the chat box, or you can also raise the hand after the question is already answered by all of the panelists. And we will move on to the first question. Maybe we will start with Robert. Okay, Robert. So this is the first question. What is your most impressed COVID-19 fake news? Okay,
and apologies for hijacking the order of the
no
panel.
worries.
Thanks for picking me up on it. Okay. Yes, so I guess what I wanted to mention here is the thing that I guess amazed me the most over the last 2 years in terms of COVID-19 misinformation was the role of Australian federal politicians or certain Australian federal politicians in spreading this COVID misinformation. So if you go onto Google and search, I mean, I did this just before the panel, Australian politicians, COVID misinformation, you'll get many stories from sources such as The Guardian. And I picked up one in particular, Craig Kelly, who a federal politician, was awarded the Australian Skeptics Bent Spoon Gong for spreading COVID misinformation. And this was in relation to advocating a drug which has no medical proven effects. And so I guess that's the thing that's impressed and shocked me the most, is how Australian politicians have a sort of unfettered access to spreading, contributing to the spread of misinformation via social media platforms. What is it about our political system that, such that this can happen? And I know Australia is not the only country where this happens, but that's my answer to that question.
I think you're still on mute, Mbak Hilya.
Okay, sorry. How about in Indonesia? Maybe in Australia, we know that the political spread about the news, and also how about in Indonesia? Maybe Miss Ika, you can
okay,
give
I
your
think
opinion.
I reckon on Robert's sharing stories, because there are so many fake news and hoaxes related to COVID-19 in Indonesia, and I don't know where to begin actually. But what perplexes me most is that the one amplified by the official, or yeah, not only politician but official. Maybe I don't know. Everyone here, especially Indonesian, probably remember about when the first time pandemic has starting to, like other countries started to become very cautious about it, and then the former health minister somehow like downplay it, like, no, we are a tropical country and we can't get COVID because we have to do a hot temperature, something like that. And then suddenly the pandemic came, and like we are very, very unprepared at the time. Well, until this time I think we are not very prepared. And then there's one thing that I also like somehow think that is very silly, when the government say about how I don't know if you remember, how the jamu, I mean the herbal traditional drink can cure COVID. Yeah, those kind of things are very, really silly, right? Like there are no scientific backgrounds or research that can back it up, but somehow it come up. They sort of appear on the public discussion because of the official. Like it's kind of weird, I think, at the time. And then I can see that the role of media is very important here, as somehow to be the one who can select which information that can be delivered to the public. And somehow we also have the the skill and the courage, to be able to also correct what is being wrongly shared in the public, even though it's also comes from the official. I think that's
okay.
all from me.
Okay, thanks, Ms. Ika. I still remember the day when the one former Ministry of Health in our country that say that we never have a pandemic in Indonesia, but we still unprepared till today. But how about Ms. Oki? Do you have any opinion?
Yeah, thank you. The one that Ms. Ika has shared is also, I think, the most remarkable one in the history of COVID in Indonesia. But then I'll continue to the second phase. I think in 2021, early 2021, there's a massive spread on news that COVID can cure only by do the sunbathing, eating garlic, and drinks a lot of water. And someone that quoted on the narrative is, I think, doctor or professor from Chinese, I think. And the interesting part is the discussion is still going on until early 2022. So it's like almost 1 year, and we are still consuming wrong information. Why I said it's still being discussed until early 2022, because from my Google research, I saw that University of Indonesia still like publish kind of clarification, scientist clarification that this isn't true. This tips is not scientifically correct. I think that's for me.
Okay, I think Robert, Oki, or Ika also have the same things about the cure. I mean, a lot of things, fake news about the cure for COVID-19 from Nguyen, from the a certain milk, if you still remember about the brand of the milk that sold out because of the fake news that that brand can cure the COVID-19. How about in Australia? Maybe Sel or Jianxin, you can add the comment or the perspective from Robert. Jianxin or Sel?
Is Jianxin still there? No, not okay. Sorry, I'll just well, what I actually have in mind is probably something not really happened in Australia, because you know my background from I'm Chinese from China. I guess we share a lot of common kind of a culture with Indonesia, where people are fan of herbal medicine. I guess that's what we all got, you know, at the very beginning when COVID happened, and you know, my parents and all the others telling us that we should, you know, drink a kind of you know, a particular brand of herbal medicine, which normally is just used to preventing like, you know, cold or flu symptoms. But they believe that this also will be helpful for COVID as well. And well, the thing is, like, once this is released to come to the public, and it makes all this particular brand of you know, herbal medicine out of stock, and the price is going very high. So I think the problem is, you know, with this kind of COVID-19 fake news, it's sometimes very difficult to judge, to find out whether this is just some kind of misleading information, or sometimes it's actually have an economic kind of you know, a motive behind it. Because you know that there are people actually making you know, taking advantage of all of that, you know, because at the very beginning, like there's no kind of like a very clear like whether this is useful or not, because you just simply don't have that data. And the other thing is, you know, I feel like a lot of similar kind of fake news happens is. And the authorities, it doesn't have to be the government, it's authorities like, you know, medical association, whatever, they didn't kind of respond in the first place. Well, sometimes I can understand the situation, you know, the position of the government is like, we want to kind of investigate it, and we want to make sure certain that what we provide to the public is certain. But the problem is, like, there will always be a kind of a gap. Sometimes it could be just, you know, 1 or 2 days, sometimes be a week. But during that gap, you know, this impact is already happening. And I think for normal people like us, if the government or the authority didn't come up with any kind of, you know, kind of clarification, people will just take it for granted. That is true. And sometimes, like, people are making kind of reasons to make it like the fake news seem to be real. So I think, like, sometimes that's also you know, remind us, like, you know, the detection or this preventing of this kind of fake news, especially COVID-19 fake news. It's not just about verify it's you know, it's true or not. Sometimes I would know that it's not going to be an easy answer or a kind of a short-term, like a quick answer for it, but it also requires a kind of fast response from the authorities, right? So because if you don't respond fast enough, and that means sometimes you know, the impact has already happened, right? Yeah.
Yeah, agree. Because the delay of the response that make the impact of the fake news is bigger, right? So Jianxin is here. I think he has a bad connection. So we will move to this. Jianxin, are you there? Are you there, Jianxin? Hi.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm in my hotel, the internet is very bad at this moment.
That's fine. We still have time to you to respond this question. What is your most impressed COVID-19 fake news, Jianxin?
Yeah, and maybe I missed all your ideas and opinions about this question. But for myself, I think yeah, because in the November of 2019, I visited in China. So at that time, I know the COVID-19 very deeply. So after that, I come back to Australia. Yeah, because that time when I waited in China, I heard a lot of news. They said, maybe this kind of news and a virus easily propagated, spread in the winter season. And then, but they said, you are in Australia, that is the summer, and you don't need to worry the virus. So there are a lot of similar kind of news. At that time, we don't know that is fake, but after half year, we know that is the fake news. And then there are some others, I'm not sure Xiao mentioned or not. There are a lot of news or fake news. They are relating to the food. You eat this food, maybe that can improve your body health, and then that can provide a strong protection to the virus. So there are a lot of news. So at that time, I feel, I think it's not only myself. I think all our public or the society, they are very confused. At that time, the government or academic, they cannot tell you truth or false because they don't know. They didn't get the scientific report. So they cannot easily tell this news is true or false. So at that time, I think we have one PhD student. Now she is working in our project, Huiyin, and she told me she wants to study the topic modeling about COVID-19 related social media. I said, that's very good. That's a very good topic. It doesn't matter about how much achievement you can get in the academic, but that is a very practical research for our academic, how we can do to protect our society or do a little bit our effort to combat some like society news. So I think that, okay, that is my first feeling about COVID-19 news.
Okay, thank all of you guys to respond the first question. I think Indonesia and Australia is a bit quite similar, even though we are a developing country in Indonesia and developed country in Australia, but the thing about the food can cure the COVID-19, and also the tropical or the summer can kill the virus. It's quite similar, right? Ika also mentioned about that. Oki also mentioned, Jianxin, Xiao also mentioned about that. But let's move on to the second question, maybe. What is the role? Yeah, because we have academia and also media in here. What is the role of academia? Maybe it's for Jianxin, Robert, and also Xiao in fighting COVID-19 infodemic. Maybe it starts with Robert. Over to you, Robert.
Yep. Okay. Okay. So I've got a pretty traditional view here, I guess maybe to do with my age, or just the fact I don't have many Twitter followers, and I don't write many articles for the conversation, but I do have one article, by the way. But what my view about this is that academics should really just stick to doing what we've been seeing today, like peer-reviewed research in journals, leading to impact. And this impact may be through policy changes in government, or it might be through the development of tools, such as what we've been seeing in some of the presentations today, that can then be used by government or by other agencies to help fight misinformation, or detect detect and combat, I guess, misinformation. So I guess that's my view, is that it's I guess it's the view of a fairly traditional academic, that I think that's kind of what we do well, and that's how academics should get involved, should be involved here. And I contrast that to, there is a tendency for people to actually almost wade into the information wars through publishing, sort of putting out analysis, which is kind of like information kind of a warfare, contributing to information warfare, analyzing kind of the presence and role of bots. But a lot of this work is not being done in a peer-reviewed fashion. It's more being released as kind of almost like media releases, or definitely being released with the view to getting published, picked up in the media, and not necessarily contributing to the peer-reviewed research. And I can see why this is an attractive thing to get involved in, because it leads to impact and engagement, and a way to kind of publicize one's research profile and tools. But I guess my concern is that this can actually contribute to a more partisan information space, because if you have academics who are often going to be more from the left side of politics engaging in this type of behavior, then it just basically will lead to reactions from the other side. And I guess my concern is that that might lead to a more partisan sort of information space, and a partisan information space leads to or can contribute to the spread of misinformation. People are more likely to spread it. People are more likely to believe it. Yeah. So, but my final comment is I can see that I've got a very kind of conservative or traditional view here, but that's just my personal view. And I know a lot of academics actually will pursue a strategy of doing the peer-reviewed research, but also engaging in the conversation articles and tweeting about the latest kind of analysis that they've done, even if it hasn't been peer-reviewed. And I can see that can be very successful for them.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Robert. I totally agree with you, and I will be your follower in Twitter after that. Because you don't have a follower in the Twitter, I will be the one who will follow.
Thank you. I need more followers.
Okay, then maybe Sal or Jianxin, you will have add another things to Robert.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Robert. I have the same feeling like Robert and our today's keynote speakers. Like the fake news is not like the traditional news propagation. And nowadays, and our public or society, we have a lot of advanced devices, and we have a lot of diversified channels always to share their information. So in this case, like the old traditional thing said, and the bad news easily propagated than the real news. So why? Yeah, because the fake news can give some people's or meet their curiosity, they're curious, but the real news you said they know, but nobody would like to share. To like if you watch some tweet, and if you share a big news, but it doesn't matter that the news is real or true or false. But if someone have interesting about the news, they are easily to propagate them. But no one care the real or false news. So I think this is a fundamental reason why we have this project to counter the fake news. Yeah, another one like this fake, currently the COVID-19 fake news is very hard to handle, to detect. Okay, for example, if there are some
Jianxin, I think he had, yeah, Jianxin.
Yeah, I think Jianxin probably got it
in English. So if they translate news from another country from one country to another country, but during the translation they just change a few words.
I think Jianxin is freezing.
Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. It's okay.
Yeah, my internet is not stable.
No worries.
Right.
You can continue.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because what I said is sometimes when we maybe my internet is not stable again. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah. So that means sometimes when someone they translate information from a country to another one, they just change a few words, and then this information will become false, or maybe they have their intention to change the information. So for this kind of information is very hard to detect. Yeah. So as an academic, I think there are a lot of ways we have to collaborate, co-work together. Yeah. Otherwise, if we just use we have data science models to detect, it's very hard. But if we do not understand how and why people accept their message and how they consume their message from the social science. So maybe we spend a lot of time, effort to design the model, but no one would like to use. So sometimes we have to consider this topic by co-working with interdisciplinary researchers, like maybe in the future we can co-work with Professor Robert, and and we can have a new kind of like information propagation model, and by taking some factors from social science, and then from the technical side we can use some deep learning model, and then maybe from the psychology side, and we can understand how users easily accept or adopt this kind of a perception. I think that could be very interesting.
Yeah, sure, very interesting collaboration. Maybe after we had a model, that maybe how useful our model that our result is. Yeah. And Sal, do you have any additional comment? Yep. Or?
Yes, I totally agree with what Robert and Jianxin has said. I just wanted to add 2 points. The first one is, of course, for the role as an academic. I just try to probably this is arguable, but I try to say for most of people in the academia, we just say we have probably receive more kind of opportunities to receive their education, and we have the ability to tell what is fake news or not, or sometimes just speak. And we are, of course, especially younger generation researchers, I think we are heavily used of social media. For myself, I'm not that a geek, but I'm using a lot of time, Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and WeChat. I mean, for today's workshop, I'll probably post multiple times across multiple platforms. So I think not as an academic, but just as a normal kind of a user of the social media, I think we should take advantage of the platform and try to not just spread, but post a correct information or some news. Even sometimes for example, I assume most of we agree that the vaccine has played a very important role in this fighting with the pandemic. So we should encourage, but of course we know there are fake news around there that it doesn't work. For academic, and I have seen a lot of research leaders, they have posted on their social media, and even they have put their name, there is 3 shots under their names, make sure people know I not only get the 2 which is required, but also get the booster shot as well. And even at Deakin, we academics, we are encouraged to put a logo under our signature, say we have been vaccinated, right? So just create this kind of culture and the information to make to the public, and hopefully the more people can receive this kind of correct information and a message to encourage them to get a vaccine. So that's one thing I think, since we are heavily users of the social media, we should do that. The second one is I want to say and Jianxin actually already mentioned this fighting with COVID-19 and even with the fake news. This is a giant a big thing. It's not going to be solved just by a few academics or even a group of academics. It has to be a lot of collaboration, not only just within one discipline. It's actually across multiple disciplines. People from social science, from journalism, from government studies, political studies, from our side, from computer science and machine learning, AI. There's a need a kind of a coalition, people form together to fight this COVID-19 epidemic. And I would say that's one of the reasons, why we are fortunate enough to be successful in this project, to collaborate with UGM as a kind of an international partner on this project, because we know that how important it is to have more people from cross-discipline and also from different probably cultural background to collaborate together to in this fight with COVID-19 epidemic. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I think there are two conclusions in here about the promote your research through the social media because it can be accessed by public. And the other one is the collaboration in multidiscipline, multi-country, and so on and so forth. And I will hear from the media representative, I think, what is the role of media in fighting COVID-19? I will start with Oki.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Hilya. So for the media, I think it plays a really big role here in Indonesia. So after the first phase of pandemic, people here are not like they're, oh, we are reducing our expectation and trust to the government. So then there are some initiatives that sourced from both academia and media here. I can like shortly share the experience here in Indonesia. So yeah, not long after the very first phase of the pandemic here, so it's in 2022, the civil society along with doctors and scientists initiate organizations. Two examples, the big one, not the big one, the big two are Kawal COVID and Pandemic Talks. So yeah, at first, yeah, Kawal COVID got more popular because they provide data on the actual case, the development of the cases in Indonesia based on the reports from hospitals or health centers or doctors organization. However, then the Ministry of Health prohibit other parties to share the daily COVID data, including Kawal COVID. So I think that's the this prohibition from the Ministry of Health just increased the distrust from the public here. But then after that, Kemenkes did some improvement. We can see when the COVID test is improving, the positive case is also improving and so on. But we can see that there's an improvement in terms of data that sourced from the government. And then after that came Pandemic Talks. So the Pandemic Talks is the initiative from some doctors and scientists and also people from the media. I myself had contributed to Pandemic Talks as one of the content creator there. So how Pandemic Talk works is we are recruiting the volunteers from those doctors, scientists, and communication practitioners to publish daily content, mostly on Instagram. This Pandemic Talk has kind of newsroom to centralize the ideas and map who is doing what and what is had already published. And most importantly, this each content is most likely a result of collaborative work. So for example, I'm from the media side. I can really like ensure that is this scientifically correct or not. So that's why we need perspective and data from doctors and scientists. So yeah, based on my experience and observation, I think this collaboration play a really big role in fighting a pandemic. And as we all know here in Indonesia, this kind of initiative brings more changes in perspective of the government, in regulation, and so on and so forth. And until now, Pandemic Talks and Kawal COVID are still active, but the angle is like slightly different right now because we are experiencing ease of restriction nowadays. But they're still with the scientific side that we cannot like underestimate this virus. COVID is still here, and we must aware and keep doing the health protocol and so on and so forth. Oh, also, when there was a changes in the Minister of Health. Yeah, pandemic talks and COVID are two of organization that are has the initial meeting with the new minister. So they are actively. The government finally heard them, and yeah, some of their some of their suggestions were also implemented at that time. Yeah, I think that's from my end. Back to you.
Thank you. Okay, Irmanita. So I know about pandemic talks. So Jianxin, all the audience maybe. Pandemic talks in Instagram. So it's account in Instagram, and the follower is quite bigger. It's 404K. So it's one of the maybe the trusted account that you can verify the news in Instagram. So I surprisingly just now, but okay, is behind the pandemic talk. Okay, how about Ms. Ika? What is the role of media in fighting COVID-19, Ms. Ika?
Well, actually, I just want to go back a bit. Well, the one and foremost role of media is to share the truth, right? To share fake-based information to the public. And maybe I would like to repeat what Professor Jianxin mentioned before, how the power of producing information now is not only and no longer like media have it now, like everyone can produce and distribute information easily, right? Like my children can do it, my mothers can do it, everyone can do it. And this I think the role of media as what we call it as a gatekeeper has become more imminent than ever, right? With this, overflowing information, right, in the digital era. And yeah, and then comes along with misinformation, disinformation, and fake news has become, bigger and bigger. And well, maybe it's media, like if they are the right media, feels that it is their responsibility, to make things right. But like with the gravity of these problems, like it's so immense that I want to highlight the need of collaboration, like all the panelists here like have mentioned it, like from the media side we can't really do it alone, like in Indonesia, maybe adding to what sorry I forgot. Oki mentioned pandemics and then COVID. We have also checkfakta.com. So it's kind of like fact-checking organization set up by the Indonesian media. It was established just before the presidential election in 2019. So yeah, we tried to do that, and now we do have another challenge with the COVID-19, but still, we believe, we feel that we can't do it. We need to engage with the academics, to get like the correct data, the correct research to answer all the, the uncertainty in the public. And we also need to engage with the government, as the voice that, like the public respect and belief too, right? To make these efforts in the fight of, if I may say, the fight against fake news and COVID-19 infodemic become more effective. So yeah, maybe there's a huge role being placed on the media, but I myself from the media side realize that we can't really do it alone. So we do need to collaborate. Yeah, I think that's all.
Agree, Ms. Ika. Jianxin, I think you raised your hand. Do you have any question to the panelists? I mean, to Ika? Or...
No.
Oh, no.
I'm making a mistake.
Okay.
Fake news.
Okay. That's very interesting response. I mean, Ika say that the media is a gatekeeper. Yeah? So everyone can produce the news, but the media can be a gatekeeper, and then media cannot do it alone. So we have to be collaborative. Okay, the last question that I have prepared before we go to the question and answer for the audience, maybe if anyone you have a question, please chat in the box, and after that I will ask the question to the panelists. So the last question is, what the next agenda in fighting COVID-19 infodemic based on your role as the academia and also as the media representative? Maybe I will start with Prof. Robert.
Okay, and before I answer this question, I just want to clarify my response to question 2, where I mentioned about academics not being on social media. I completely agree with the follow-up comments about well, Ika just made the point that media can't do it on their own, and they need to collaborate with other actors who are there seeking the truth and to get the message out, and academics can play that role, and also Xiao, an earlier excuse me, I'm just a bit Xiao said earlier on about that academics do have a particular advantage in the sense that we are, we embraced social media very early as a profession. I think it was basically politicians, then and then journalists and academics, and and celebrities. I mean, academics have been on social media for a long time, so that does mean that some of us have quite a very strong presence on social media, and I'm not one of those, but I keep on going on about that. But that does mean that academics can play a role in helping to get combat fake news. But the comments I was making before about academics who are on social media combating fake news, I was talking more about partisan usage of social media. So it's basically academics almost becoming another partisan actor on social media. And I think that relates to, it depends on the type of research you do. If you're doing research on vaccine effectiveness or new drugs, or if you're an epidemiologist, that's a very different role that you're going to play as an academic on social media compared to if you're maybe coming from the social sciences. So I guess that was it depends on the research area that you're working on. Anyway, moving on to question 3. So I guess this is going to be me pushing my own barrow in terms of what I'm doing and why I think it's interesting and related to fighting this infodemic. So Jenny Zhang, in her presentation earlier on, made an interesting point that it's not that researchers found, and she was referring to a science article, that in terms of the spread of misinformation, bots are not the problem. It's actually more likely to be humans who are integral in the spread of misinformation. And so that then opens up a whole sort of avenue of research for social scientists. But as the point that was made by both Jianxin and Xiao is that we need collaboration across the different disciplines. So I wanted to make the point that a lot of the focus in the presentations today have been about demographic characteristics. So there's a survey that's been conducted as part of this project, and one of the aspects, as part of the project that was discussed today, the Deakin-UGM project. And so that's about micro level factors that affect the spread of information, like people believing it and then spreading it. And other micro factors, for example, relate to the nature of the misinformation. So what is the quality, or what are the characteristics of the information that make them more spreadable or more more likely to diffuse? So that's a sort of micro level analysis. But and that's hugely valid, but I also wanted to point to the other levels of analysis that are important here. For example, meso-level analysis. So this is where social networks become important. And again, that was a focus of, say, for Jenny Zhang's, and actually other presenters today. So, you know, to what extent do particular social network configurations contribute to or inhibit the spread of misinformation? And this then relates to the phenomena of echo chambers and also filter bubbles. And so that's an area that I'm very interested in. I think there's a lot of moral panic about social media and echo chambers and filter bubbles, but in terms of the actual research, there's still a lot of open questions. You know, how do you conceptualize an echo chamber or a filter bubble? How do you actually measure it? How do you, in particular, how do you measure the impact of filter bubbles on, for example, people's behavior? And this is not easy to do because in order to make causal statements about how social media use affects a person's polarization or a person's tendency to believe and spread misinformation, that's not easy to do because a lot of the data that we have access to is observational data. It's large-scale data sets from social media, but really to make causal statements, you need experiments. And so I'm very interested in how people are doing social media-based experiments where, for example, you pay people to spend a month not being on Facebook, and then you see, well, what's the effect on that, on their political knowledge, on their polarization, their attitudes towards the other side in politics. But also this could be used to understand how does that affect someone's tendency to believe and spread misinformation. And then the final point is about this is I'm also very interested in what's happening at the macro level in terms of the infodemic. In Australia, we've had a digital platforms inquiry, and then there was a mandatory media bargaining code. And this is actually Australia taking quite a leading role internationally in trying to rein in the social media platforms. And one of the main motivators for this is because of the concern that that social media platforms have led to a decline in public interest journalism, and that has had a consequent impact on misinformation and other negative societal effects. So I'm interested in sort of what's happening in that space. Another point related to that is I think the level of partisanship in politics has an effect on misinformation. The more partisan the political environment leads to more misinformation. People are more likely to believe and spread misinformation. So one last point, sorry, I know I've spoken for a while, but so I guess I've talked a bit about my own research interests. You know, I'm interested in social networks, filter bubbles, echo chambers, and kind of SNA approaches to measuring these things, especially in a causal sort of setting. But I wanted to give a shout out to a colleague of mine, Matthew O'Neill at the University of Canberra, who's conducting an interesting program of research relating to information literacy. And I think that that is another area of academic research that's going to be really important in terms of how to equip people, in particular school students, so that they can be better judges of what information is correct and not, and what to do about information that they may suspect the veracity of. So I'll leave it there.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you, Robert. Maybe I will go to Oki and Ika first, because maybe Jianxin or so we can talk about the next agenda related to our research anyway. But anyway, how about the next agenda, Ika?
Well, actually, I'm sorry, it's raining here, but can you hear my voice well enough? Okay. So yeah, what we can do as media is actually just, keep relentlessly, publish truth-based information, correct any misinformation, disinformation, and hoaxes as well. That's the least that we can do, right? But yeah, I also encourage more collaboration to be established, not only between media organizations, but also with the governments and also with the academics, right? And then I think I can see how in this, somehow triangle relationship between media, government, and also the academics, I think media can be a good bridge, right? To somehow connect all together and be one, just be together in this fight against infodemic. And lastly, I want to share sort of like an update. I don't know if we have already covered this in this discussion, but there is, a talk also to not only put the blame on the public, the people who share misinformation, not to put the blame on the government who maybe have the lack of resources to combat this fake news, but also question the role of platforms, technology. I mean, like we mentioned, maybe we can mention Facebook or Google or whatever. I think those players are like we publish some research who somehow highlights the importance to also ask their responsibility to also combat this fake news, because they believe that the technology is not neutral, right? Social media are not neutral, and then they have the responsibility as much as I don't know, teenager who share fake news, right? Because they have the platforms. They should have or set up a very good system to somehow block it, right? So those kind of discussion have emerged lately. Like we do have this wonderful research from Malaysia, Indonesia, and the Philippines who asked, the research specifically focus on TikTok, the role of TikTok, how they manage, by their own system manage how misinformation, disinformation circulated on TikTok platform. I think it's important also for us to discuss all of this thing, right? Because like the problem's not more, it's more complex than, talking about the governments or the people, but also this role of technological platforms. I think that's for me.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Ika. Ms. Oki, do you have any comment?
Yeah, just a few addition. Yeah. So based on this experience and based on our experience in the pandemic, I think everyone should be mindful. Yeah, not only government but also media and academia. I think yeah, from the media side, we have quite a power to promote certain key messages to like such a wake-up call for any stakeholders, yeah, that they are responsible to decrease the spread of infodemic. I would like to also add that Google as a technology platform also has a program here in Indonesia. I think it's almost 3 years or something, and it's also the foundation of Cek Fakta ID. If I'm not mistaken, the founder of Cek Fakta ID are from the training presented by Google. It's a collaboration with Journalist Association here, AJI, and Google, and also Internews, which I also one of the alumni of the trainer. And on that end, I think the Google News initiative with the media and Cek Fakta as well are still continuing to do the events to set up awareness, and I think the approach was quite well. They are firstly targeting journalists as the when you can make the journalist literate enough and have a set of ability to identify which one is the fake news and not, and then gear them with some tools that can be used to verify information. Yeah, and then after the journalist has this kind of geared with the skills, the next target is students. I think that's quite a good approach. They're not they're doing such a sniper approach. Yeah, not only like train the public at large, but they're come from I think the essential part is training journalists and then students. And we can see, yeah, on my subjective observation, I think that this campaign or movement or initiative is quite doing well here. We can see that, yeah, pandemic kawal COVID and also pandemic talks has also pro and cons when they appeared. Also, I mean, this is also related to Prof. Robert mentioned earlier that misinformation is also sometimes, you know, came from political propaganda or something like that. So there was some occasions that pandemic talks was, you know, blame or no, blame is not a good choice of word. Accused as a non-government side that you know, they have some political element in that. So yeah, I think my point is, first, for the media and civil society, they can continue to do the initiative to gear people in differentiating fact or non-fact information on social media or websites. While for government, I think they need to do more collaborative events. We all know that Kominfo, Ministry of Communication, has a platform, but we also know that some civil society also presents another platform to do the fact checking. Yeah, I think when they do the collaboration, the result will be bigger than we can expect. Yeah, that's all for me. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Oki, Ikai, and also Robert. Because we run out of time, maybe after that, Xiao also will conclude with the next agenda of what we have done and what we will do for the next. Okay, I think we are ready to close our session. I want to thank the audience for coming and joining us in this important panel discussion. And I'd like to also thank to our panel again for coming and sharing their expertise today and all the behind the scene work that went into putting the panel together. And yeah, we are eternally grateful for everybody's participation. So thank you all very much for coming. Have a great day, and I will go back to Xiao. Over to you, Xiao.
Yep. Yes, thanks, Akilia. Unfortunately, due to the time, I don't have time for open discussion, but I think after the workshop, we actually gonna keep, you know, everyone who registers for workshop still in the loop. So we'll keep send you the updates, and possibly you can also see we have prepared 2 questionnaires, both in Bahasa version and also English version. So we invite you guys to participate in the online survey as well. So if you don't mind, so we will probably still gonna harass you guys with a few of updates from the project, and also we are very looking forward to the second event. So as I mentioned, the project is supposed to finish by mid-October, and we're planning to have another workshop probably at the end of September as a conclusion for the workshop, and hopefully by that time we'll give you more detailed update. And most importantly, actually what I mentioned is we want to create this tours out of this, you know, project of the research, because I do believe having this provide a web portal or some kind of tours for the public and also for media and for anyone who is in this war with fighting the info pandemic is vitally important, because we can't ask people to read the papers, you know, for what we gonna find, and we have to provide tools and you know, that will help them to work out. Yeah, so that's pretty much I want to mention at the end. And of course, thanks for everyone who joined us physically in this room, and I know a lot of you guys are online, and thank you very much for attending the workshop today. Thank you very much. Okay. See you guys. See you next time.
Okay, thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye.
See ya.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.